Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
First, Mr. Mike Elgan is here.
Elegant.
We're going to call you that from now on. The best dressed, best looking guy on the Twit network.
It's good to have it be descriptive and accurate. So,
did you ever think of that as a stage name, Mike Elgan?
No, never.
Mike is, of course, the host of TNT Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific.
That's right.
1 p.m. Eastern Time, 17 on
My
UTC.
favorite news show.
My favorite news show, too, actually. Well, and that and Tech News Tonight. I love All My Children This Week in Tech and Windows Weekly and Security Now, but all of them are wonderful.
All My Children, isn't that a soap opera?
I actually, believe it or not, and you probably don't believe this, but I get up in the morning. I have a morning ritual, workout and all that stuff, but at 10 a.m., sharp, I've always got, we have a Sonos, and I have Tech News Today playing throughout the whole house, so we can listen and we can learn, because I want to come in to work ready, knowing what the big stories are.
And I see you in the chat room. So
I do.
Mixing it up with
the little people.
denizens of the chat room.
Hey, denizens. So you have a tablet here. Now, this is from Verizon.
That's right.
We're waiting for a phone tablet.
Yeah.
But they still haven't released. This is not that.
Correct. This is close. You could actually almost sort of kind of use it as a phone because it supports LTE. This is similar to a tablet that existed called the LG G Pad 8.3, which is kind of an old tablet. It came out last October, and the Google Play Edition came out in December, and this came out March 6th. This is LTE, the LTE version, Verizon only, and it's the same tablet essentially with some more software and plus LTE.
Now, it is not a Google Play Edition.
That's correct.
It's got LG's own skin on top of it, Verizon
That's right,
stuff.
and tons of software, you might say crapware. We'll get into that whole thing.
All right.
So essentially, this is an 8.3-inch 1920 by 1200 IPS display tablet. It's, hardware-wise, it's a pretty good solid construction.
8-inch is the new 7-inch. 8-inch is the new
That's right.
black. It's 7-inch with the Nexus 7 was the size, and then there were 10 inches. But Dell has done a Venue at 8 inches. A lot of companies doing 8 inches, and that seems to be kind of a sweet spot.
It's nice. It's right between the smallest small tablets and the biggest big tablets. It's essentially a very, very large tablet you can hold with one hand and use with one hand.
It's about as big as you could get that to
exactly
do that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a nice size. I like the size. That's one of the advantages of this particular device. Now,
same resolution as the Nexus 7. It's pretty decent DPI.
It's not bad. And one of the things that's great about this, and we'll get into the details of this, but it's cheap, and the price is kind of more complicated when you get into Verizon and carriers and LTE
it's subsidized,
and so on. Yeah, that's right. But it's a good, pretty good tablet. It's not as good as some of the other ones out there. From a software point of view, it runs Android Jelly Bean.
Jelly Bean?
Jelly Bean, yeah.
4.1?
Yeah, 4.2.2.
4.2.2.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's Jelly Bean.
Yes. And it's got a bunch.
That's a little old.
Yeah, and it's got a whole bunch of apps on it, and we're going to get into the apps, and I'm going to tell you why I don't like some of these apps.
Yeah.
But just for starters, it's got 7 Verizon apps. It's got 7 Amazon apps.
What?
Okay, and it's got a bunch of random apps like iHeartRadio and Polaris Office 5. That's a mediocre Office suite.
You know what? I noticed Verizon did that with my Verizon HTC One too. That's the Verizon software package. I was surprised. They must have a deal with Amazon.
They must, because the Amazon software, the LG software, and the Verizon software can't be uninstalled.
Oh no.
Yeah. So this is a kind of aggressive crapware policy that it kind of
not fond of that.
Yeah, it's not that great. So let's just go over the pros and cons here. It's a good, solid, durable construction hardware.
It's nice.
It sounds pretty good. The speakers are pretty good. There are 2 speakers on the back here. You can see here and here are speakers. If you're
Are they stereo?
They're stereo,
Yeah,
and it's loud enough to watch a movie. At short range, and it's not bad. Battery life is pretty good. No physical buttons on the front, which I like. Some people don't like that. And of course, LTE, and it's very, very cheap. Those are the pros. Now the cons, the biggest con is the screen quality. Now the screen quality is problematic because the whites are not particularly white, the blacks are not particularly black, and there are other devices in this general category area that are much better in terms of screen quality.
This is an IPS display, not an OLED display.
correct.
And I think you kind of get used to OLEDs after a while. IPS looks washed out a little bit.
That's right. So if you've looked at some of the Samsungs or the iPads, these are much, much better displays.
Well, the iPads are IPS as well, but
but they're
they're better displays.
That's right, and you can do comparative things, but the blacks are not fatal, but the whites you can never get a super white. It's all just kind of like a yellowy kind of white, and that's a big problem. I don't like the pre-installed stuff. That's another downside. It's kind of spammy. There's a lot of come-ons for the Amazon stuff. It sort of hits you over the head with like sign up for this. When you first use it.
Does it take up a lot of the free space? Is this how big? First of all, how big are these?
16 gigs of storage, and about 10 of that is usable.
Oh, that's
by
terrible.
the user. Yeah,
so they take up quite a bit with these.
Quite a bit, yeah.
And you can't remove them.
That's right. And so that is a problem. So I would give this a don't buy for the reason that it's the screen quality is not good. Now there are some people for whom this is a good device because this is really, really cheap. And for people who don't mind ugly, and this is ugly in a bunch of reasons. The screen is ugly, the back is ugly, and you see this nice. People give them credit for having a nice metal.
It's got a metal back.
Screen, but see how it picks up fingerprints? You can't get those off.
Yeah.
And there are other devices out there.
Aluminum.
But it will never look good because it will always have fingerprints on it, and that's a problem. And of course, the crapware is ugly. So it's an ugly device.
It doesn't seem like there are a lot of Android 8-inchers, though. I mean.
There are not. However,
so
the gold standard for the size of screen is a Samsung Galaxy Tab Pro 8.4. It's an 8.4 inch screen.
That would be a better choice, you think?
I think so. The only problem is it doesn't have LTE. But in every other respect, it's much faster. It's got a much better screen. It's got a slightly better battery life, and so that's a much higher quality experience. To me, a tablet that gives you a kind of a crappy experience is not good. The tablet experience should be high quality. You want to watch movies in high definition. You want to be able to take good pictures and so on. So I would say this is not a buy.
Do not buy. You mentioned price a couple of times. How cheap is it?
Well, it's $300.
That's with
unlocked,
a 2-year contract.
Unlocked. So it's $200 with a 2-year contract. Right, and this is just the LTE, right?
That's a good deal.
This is cheaper than the Nexus 7 LTE from Verizon. $50 cheaper, both unlocked and with a contract. So it's very inexpensive. Remember, that's a 7-inch display, so it's a bigger screen that's $50 cheaper than the Nexus 7.
Isn't the Nexus also made by LG, or is it an Asus? Maybe it's an Asus. I can't remember.
I think it is Asus. But yeah,
so do not buy
on
the Verizon LG 8-inch from Mr. Michael Elgan.